Oh, another day, another grind fest, loot infested game that I'm sure is going to adopt a live service model to try and compete with the likes of Outriders, Godfall, The Division, Destiny, and who knows what else. Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance is an absolute stain on the gaming industry that's best forgotten before it even releases. I legitimately, watching the gameplay trailer, could not form a better thought in my mind than just naming in my head and recycling through the games that I'm seeing this game rip off. All right, we've got a sped up Dragon Age Inquisition combat. We've got Godfall Light. Basically, what it is trying to be Godfall Light, and it's even hearkening back to the days of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, trying to appeal to the console crowd who are just too stupid to actually play Baldur's Gate, the RPG. And now we're going to modernize that. Now, I can't blame them for trying to monetize it because there are a lot of idiots playing games these days, but the gameplay is so tired. What is this doing new? 4-player co-op action RPG? We've literally seen this 1,000 times before. I would rather play Diablo. I would rather play Path of Exile. I would rather play Torchlight. I would rather play Neverwinter. There's 1,000 other games that do this exact same thing, and they do it better. All right? And to use the Dungeons and Dragons license. That's your key here. Oh, we got the Dungeons and Dragons license, and we're going to appeal to all the hardcore tabletop role-playing guys. They can get in here and do their dungeons and their dungeon crawls, and they can get their loot, and they can do all the other things that neckbeards love to do. Listen, this does not appeal to Dungeons and Dragons players. What this appeals to is the 5 and 6 year old who just discovered fantasy, and they want to swing a sword, and they want to have a war, and they want to have a battle axe, and they want to take on the bad guys and the ogres. This is so stereotypically fantasy. This will be lumped in with all the other forgotten fantasy games of time. All right, we see literally hundreds of these games a generation. Just off the top of my head, no filter, right? We see games like Lords of the Fallen. We see games like God of War. We see games like Dark Souls, and we see games like Bloodborne, Dragon's Dogma. We see games like Dragon Age Inquisition. They all fall prey to the same fantasy tropes. They all fall prey to the same exact problems. The worlds are not interesting. They do nothing to captivate me and make me care. And this looks to put even more emphasis on gameplay, which honestly isn't that bad of a thing. But when you don't have a compelling gameplay loop, it's literally the same stuff you get in the Ubisoft games. Go here, defeat enemies, get loot, continue. They've adopted the Ubisoft formula, shoehorned it into a Dungeons and Dragons setting, and they're shipping it out to you asking for $60. Now, how is that respecting you as an individual? There are legitimately great fantasy games out there. I'm talking games you've never heard of. Things like Hunted, The Demon's Forge. Absolutely amazing game that you haven't heard of and you haven't played because you're a casual. All you're interested in is throwing money at trash like Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, where you can get online with your would-be friends and you can parade around, kill some ogres, and pretend like you are in Middle Earth. Pretend like you are in this dark fantasy setting. This game will flop, 100% guaranteed. Do not even waste your breath mentioning it. Nobody wants to play this game. Nobody asked for this game, yet they're pumping it out to you, expecting you to pay $60 because of a Dungeons and Dragons tag and because dark fantasy sells. Everybody loves the elves and the orcs and everything that's so tired in 2021. You know, I remember when games used to be creative. I remember when games used to, not just any games, fantasy games used to invoke a sense of wonder and fear. They used to show us how absolutely magical life could be and how abhorrently evil life could be. You don't get that anymore. Today, we get absolute trash like Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, where it's all about teaming up, getting to the next loot. You know what this is? This is legitimately 100%. I just thought of the best comparison. This is the Avengers from Square Enix scaled down from a AA studio and shoved out to you with a Dungeons and Dragons brand tag on it. That's all it is. Now, I don't know about you, All right, but I don't have any desire to play some fantasy version of roided up Thor, play some fantasy version of smartass Tony Stark, or play some fantasy version of wizard Doctor Strange. Doesn't interest me, should not interest you. By the way, Andrew Garfield was the best Spider-Man. Fight me, Tobey Maguire fanboys. Fight me, Tom Holland fanboys. Andrew Garfield brought a range to that character that neither Maguire at his peak nor Holland in his infancy still can catch. All right, absolutely stomped on both of those franchises. Garfield is top tier Spider-Man, and if you buy Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance, you are a filthy casual who has at best an IQ of 12.